All right, everybody, what is going on? Good afternoon. We've got some of these late games finishing up over here to my right. Some interesting stuff happening. We'll definitely take some time to talk about it a little bit later. But at this moment, as Seahawks fans, we don't really care that much because something much more important and much more relevant to the Seattle Seahawks has just happened in the last couple of minutes here. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. This happened like maybe 20 minutes ago, and I'm just now getting to record a video about it. But regardless, the Seattle Seahawks, per Ian Rappaport and many other sources, have agreed to a 4-year extension to left tackle Charles Cross. That is right. Left tackle Charles Cross has been extended 4 years, $104.4 million. That is 26.1 million average per year, which is just about where I thought he would be when this all started. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so $26.1 million average per year. That's I thought it was going to be 4 years, 104. So if you want to say that we could have done that maybe before the season started, then we only had to give him an extra $400,000 over a 4-year deal in order to get him now. Hardly a big deal. So pretty much exactly the kind of deal that I was expecting. And remember, the 5th-year option still stands. So this extension is on top of the 1-year he had left on his deal for 2026. So Charles Cross is now under contract for the next 5 seasons in Seattle. Whether or not he gets to the end of that deal, less certain. But for the moment, Charles Cross is under contract for 5 more seasons. So I'm happy. I think it's a good, reasonable deal. But let's talk about it a little bit more. Now, first of all, we don't know exactly how the cap hits break out. We don't know if we used any void years. We don't know if there's any dead money at the end. So we're going to need to wait for further instructions on exactly how we're supposed to feel about this. I don't think that anything is going to radically change the fact that this is a reasonable deal. Now, this second line in the tweet here says that he gets 40.5 million in year 1. And I think some people saw that and thought that it meant that the cap hit for Charles Cross in year 1 would be 40.5 million. That is almost certainly not true. If it is true, it is very, very weird and very, very unprecedented. That's probably not what's going on here. What we are likely looking at here is Charles Cross getting $40.5 million in year 1 in his pocket. And that is not something that we as Seahawks fans really care about. That is not something that we as Seahawks fans are affected by. That's just when Charles Cross gets his money. What we care about is when that money hits the cap. And right now, this money, we don't know exactly how and when it will hit the cap, but I can pretty much guarantee you he's not going to get 40.5 million in year 1 against the cap. That doesn't make any sense. And you don't see stuff like that pretty much ever. So Charles Cross extended. We don't know the cap hit yet. That first year cap hit, it doesn't even necessarily really have a big effect on us because remember, the cap hit that he was going to have next year on the 5th-year option was very big. So if anything, this extension might knock that number down a little bit because a little bit of money gets pushed back into later seasons. So arguably, this is going to clear a little bit of cap space for Seattle next year, not take it away. We'll have to see. Now, if you want to compare this to the rest of the league, if you go to Spotrac and you sort by left tackle, you can see that the top. Oh, yeah, okay, that's for the best. The top paid left tackle in terms of average annual value is $28.5 million, Rashawn Slater. Then you have Tristan Wirfs at 28.1, call it. And then you have Trent Williams at 27.6 approximately. Charles Cross now comes in here in fourth place, just behind Trent Williams, and just ahead of Christian Darrisaw, who got his extension a couple of off seasons ago at exactly 26. So Cross barely beats out Christian Darrisaw, which makes sense because Charles Cross is kind of like the next Christian Darrisaw. Darrisaw is to his draft class what Charles Cross is to his draft class. So the money gets bumped up a little bit. If anything, we kind of did pretty well here in that our bump up is only 100,000. 100,000 per year, that is. So it is a little bit more money than Tunzel got, and that was several years ago, 25 million per year. Bernard Ryman got 25 per year. I think this was earlier before this season started, and you can kind of see things cascade from there. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that this is about in line with what you would expect the next really good left tackle to get, right? Like Christian Darrisaw is not some perennial all-pro left tackle. He's a very good one. He's young. He has promise. He should be good for a long time. But he's not on the level of a Tristan Wirfs. So Tristan Wirfs, when his extension comes up, he gets a lot more. Charles Cross, also not on the level of a Tristan Wirfs. Wirfs is on a different level compared to somebody like a Cross. And I would probably say the same for a guy like a Rashawn Slater. So that's kind of that top tier. And then here you have the kind of the next tier. So in my mind, everything makes sense. Now, one thing that's interesting with this deal, the reported guarantee is 75 million. So over 70% of the contract is guaranteed, which is pretty much in line, maybe a little bit more compared to some of the other deals. Like Slater got 92 guaranteed. So that's actually probably a little bit higher of a percentage. It's, I believe, a little bit of a higher percentage compared to Tristan Wirfs. So it seems a little bit high, but once you actually compare it to these other deals, it's really not. And Charles Cross is young. He's proven himself to be a good player. His numbers this year have been very good. And shout out to Josh Jones and everything. I think that we've learned over the last couple of weeks here that while Josh Jones is an adequate player, Charles Cross is clearly better, and Charles Cross clearly gives us something that Josh Jones does not. So we've learned how valuable Cross is on some level, even though I think Josh Jones has played well. So it's not like I'm worried that Cross is going to be somebody that we desperately want to get off of in a couple of years. Cross's contract is probably going to keep him securely in Seattle for at least 3 seasons, and I'm good with that. And yeah, it's just about in line with what I thought it was going to be. And honestly, when you take a look at this, when you consider the fact that Darrisaw got his extension back in 2024, and we're now technically in 2026, and it's only 100,000 a year bump, I think we did well. Like this, if this had been 27 million per, I would not have been surprised. So I think we did really well. All right. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. And I'm happy. I think that most Seahawks fans are happy. I know Cross didn't have a universal approval, but I think he was well liked and well respected. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.